many of you know, and it's worth saying, I work at the Temsey Family Health Team here in Chatham, currently home to many diverse First Nations, Indigenous, and Métis people from across Turtle Island. It's situated in the traditional territory of the Potawatomi, the Ojibwa, the Anishinaabeg, as protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Chatham-Kent neighbors the Lunapui at Delaware Nation, which is part of the McKee Purchase Treaty, as well as the unceded territory of the Bakejwang Walpole Island First Nation. My goal as an individual is to acknowledge the First Nation people who have lived on and cared for this land since time immemorial, to express my gratitude to them, but also to acknowledge the traumatic impact of colonization from my ancestors. As a settler with ancestral ties to continental Europe, when my grandparents came to these lands more than 100 years ago, their survival was not dependent on the support of the Indigenous people. The land where they settled had been changed and scarred by agriculture and industry. What should never be forgotten is that those European settlers who came hundreds of years before my ancestors did would never have survived without the support, generosity, and care, excuse me, of the First Nation people they encountered, people who had lived on these lands forever. In an attempt to live respectfully together, many treaties and agreements were signed between First Nations people and those settlers who came to colonize the land and people. Agreements were made and signed, but never honored respectfully. Land ownership was a foreign concept to the Indigenous people to comprehend. How can someone own the land and the sky? What does it mean to own? First Nations beliefs about the natural world were thought to be simple-minded by the colonizers. Indigenous people then, and still today, wisely subscribe to the views that a person should share the bounty of the land and take only what is needed, not to deplete or harm what is natural, always leaving enough for the people who will come after. This is the very powerful and selfless meaning behind the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Those who colonized never honored or understood this wisdom. The colonizers did not appreciate the generous, civilized way of the First Nation people who lived, worshipped, and honored this land. Instead, they forced religion and education on the people in very harsh and humiliating and punitive ways, ways that the Europeans believed were civilized and justified. This path of colonization, of course, did much damage, as many Indigenous nations were wiped out, if not by the diseases brought by the colonizers, then by being demoralized and dishonored. Today, we struggle how to acknowledge the truth of the pain and damage done by our righteous and arrogant ancestors, the pain that was and continues today to be a legacy of suffering and disenfranchisement for many Indigenous people in this country. In the spirit of reconciliation, let us do all that we can to acknowledge the reality of pain and suffering caused by colonization. Let us embrace and support the recommendations in the Truth and Reconciliation Report. In doing so, we can work to build an environment of trust and respect to make this land a welcoming and healthy home for all people. As a visitor on this land, I strive to deepen my own understanding of the local First Nation communities, being able to give thanks to the stewards of this land who came before me, and being able to reflect upon the meaning behind the Dish with One Spoon is truly an honor. This is something I think about every time I'm nourished physically and emotionally by the bounty of our natural world. It's important for me to offer gratitude and thanks to the wisdom of those who came before me, those who had the wisdom and foresight to care for and respect everything in our natural world. I also commit to filling the dish, learning more about Indigenous communities and sharing those learnings with the people in my life. So I know that that's a long one, and most people are sort of used to abbreviated land acknowledgements. But I kind of want it to be more meaningful. I don't want it just to be something that I read. I feel like it needs to be sort of a living testimony, and it's probably going to change again. Every week that I look at it, I change something else about it. So just, give a moment to reflect on that. And I think it's really important to just take a moment to honor that. And you may personally not feel guilty, and it is not the intention to feel guilty, just to raise an awareness and validate and to acknowledge. So hopefully it accomplishes that for you. So here's a poem called Respiration. Excuse me. I was looking for poems about difficult times, and boy, oh boy, there are many. And some of them are quite strange and interesting. And when they're over, and I kind of just sort of let the words sink in, um, I get why it represents difficulty. So this first one is called Respiration. Seems appropriate because we do a lot of breathing in our meditation practice, don't we? But it's by a man named Jamal May, and it goes like this. A lot of it lives in the trachea, but not so much that you won't need more muscle, the diaphragm, a fist clenching at the bottom. Inhale. So many of us are breathless, like me, kneeling to collect the pottery shards of a houseplant that my elbow has nudged into oblivion. What if I sigh, and the black earth beneath me scatters like insects running from my breath? Am I a god then? Am I insane because I worry about the dissembling of earth regularly? I walk more softly now, into gardens or up the steps of old houses with impatience stuffed in their window boxes. When it's you standing there with a letter or voice or face full of solemn news, will you hold your breath before you knock? So this one is called What Kind of Times Are These? And you can guess why this one appealed to me. The message is interesting. It's there's a lot to it, so have a listen. And this poem is by a woman named Adrienne Rich. There's a place between two stands of trees where the grass grows uphill and the old revolutionary road breaks off into shadows near a meeting house abandoned by the persecuted who disappeared into those shadows. I've walked there, picking mushrooms at the edge of dread. But don't be fooled. This isn't a Russian poem. This is not somewhere else, but here, in our country, moving closer to its own truth and dread, its own ways of making people disappear. I won't tell you where the place is, the dark mesh of the woods meeting the unmarked strip of light, ghost-ridden crossroads, leaf-mold paradise. I know already who wants to buy it and sell it and make it disappear. And I won't tell you where it is. So why do I tell you anything? Because you still listen. Because in times like these, to have you listen at all, it's necessary to talk about trees. To Our Land. And this one is by Mahmoud Darwish. And it's been translated by Fadi Judah. To our land, it is the one near the word of God, a ceiling of clouds. To our land, and it is the one far from the adjectives of nouns, the map of absence. To our land, and it is the one tiny as a sesame seed, a heavenly horizon, and a hidden chasm. To our land, and it is this one poor as grouse's wings, holy books, and an identity wound. To our land, and it is the one surrounded with torn hills, the ambush of a new past. To our land, and it is a prize of war, the freedom to die from longing and burning, and our land, in its bloodied night, is a jewel that glimmers for the far upon the far, and illuminates what's outside it. As for us inside, we suffocate more. So there's some poems that sort of reflect some of the big feelings that we're all having right now. Um, I received, I don't know how many, and this was in my email that some of you might have received and some of you didn't, but I just want to be totally honest with you. I received a couple of emails from patients that were just talking about how difficult it is to kind of carry on, and that there's so much uncertainty. There is a lot that we don't know, but more and more there are things that are becoming really, really clear, things that are very hard to tolerate. And I know myself, many times I've thought about what would my father say? My father was a World War II veteran. And I think about all the people that defended democracy and goodness and made sacrifices of their lives, of their children's, of their sons, of their daughters, and people that didn't come back and made the ultimate sacrifice, and how my father, and many people's fathers and sons and uncles and brothers who were lucky enough to come back, how we tried to honor their sacrifice and their incredible determination to beat something that was very, very evil. And you know, it might not feel like that, but there are so many things that make it look like that that I can't turn away. And I don't want to be silent and I don't want to scare people, but we have voices and we can offer something about what we would like to see and what we would like to be in the world. And so many things that are just so wrong and frustrating. And I can get really stuck there sometimes. And that doesn't feel good either. I don't want to be stuck and I don't want to feel hopeless. And but I want to be honest, sometimes it really feels that way. And I received an email from a former teacher of mine who I still remain in contact with, and he wrote this little thing about how he feels about his son, and he remembers the day that his son let him know that, well, Dad, you're not cool anymore, and and he feels the same way because he's a teacher who represents, kindness and goodness and works very hard to bring peace in the world. And so he's feeling that same feeling that his values and the things that he believes in aren't really feeling very cool anymore. And he says this time it's not his son, it's society. And he says somehow wisdom and compassion just aren't cool anymore, at least in the US. It feels like this. What's in is harshness, what's out is empathy. What's in is arrogance. What's out is humility. What's in is meanness. What's out is love. What's in being a Christian. What's out is living as Jesus suggested we live. And there's a big difference between those words, right? What's in is authoritarianism. What's out is democracy. So where does all this lead? And he says, like all of us, we really don't know. Um, and then I kind of did a lot of thinking about that. And this is going to sound so strange, but I don't mind sharing with you. Um, there are many times that my husband and I, along with our little dog, will walk um, outside, and we cross roads, and many times there's very aggressive traffic, really loud trucks and cars, and they zoom by, they zip by, they're driving so quickly, and it's really disconcerting. I can get used to that, But what is very, very, I can never get used to is when we are crossing with a light in a crosswalk, with a light that says pedestrians may go. And we begin to cross and cars will zoom in front of us. And it's really scary. Many times we've nearly been hit. Um, and I very often will have a bag of poo because my dog and I scoop it up and I've got this bag of poo. And so often I've wanted to just whip the bag at these people that are so disrespectful and cruel. I'd like to do that, and I've never have. I guess I'm proud to say that, but I've really wanted to. And I started to think about that, about how, and what would that accomplish? Might make me feel better for I don't know how many seconds, but then I probably would feel like totally embarrassed and could be considered assault as well. I don't know. I just know that it would be very fleeting. It might feel good to, release some of that anger in some way, shape, or form, very, very fleetingly. So then I had this, well, what would I prefer to do? And so it came to me as I was driving home or back to work today from lunch. I'd like to hold a sign up that says, I forgive you, because I do. And that's what's in my heart, to forgive. I think that's the only thing that's going to heal. So all of these folks that we experience all these differences of opinions and we think we understand their motivation. We think that they're trying to destroy the world and whatever is good about it. And I don't know. I don't have the answers, but somehow it came to me. I want to forgive. I want to forgive these people. And when I hold that thought, that feels so much better. It doesn't solve anything, and it's not about anybody else. It's about, my own, what's in my heart, what feels right to do, what I want to represent. I forgive them. And I don't know. I don't know. I really don't expect it to do too much, but it's not about anybody else. It's about what feels right for me in this moment. And so I'm planning on making a sign. It can't be too heavy because I carry it around the walk, and I mean it. I'm just gonna I forgive you. So there you go. There's my little story for the day. But these are really, really challenging times, and part of taking really good care of ourselves in these difficult times is we have to take care. We have to do things that nourish us. We have to make connections with people. You don't have to do what I'm going to do. You don't have to do any of that, but think about it. I really am curious to know what your thoughts are about that. And sometimes people have said to me, but I'm tired. I'm so tired of being kind and when people aren't kind to me back. And I understand that too. Um, but you know, we have to keep trying. And there is a huge part of me that believes that goodness will prevail. And wiser minds than me are saying things like, the earth, the world has experienced times like this before, and we have. And and we always find a way. We always find a way until we lose our way, until other things happen. And then we are lost for a while, but we always find our way back. And I think that's really true. I don't know how much comfort that brings to you, but it somehow settles me. And so this tonight, you know, it may feel repetitive when I do these things because it's always got to be about loving kindness. It's always got to be about breathing and bringing relaxation to ourselves and rest and hope and all of those good things. But we have to, we just have to, we have to hold tight and do those things that nourish us. And sometimes that means not watching the news, not engaging with that, protecting ourselves as much as we can, offering forgiveness, Sometimes it means binge watching something that takes you away or that reminds you of the goodness in others, not the badness. I've really, really gravitated to shows that only uplift and don't drag me down. I don't want to see the worst in human nature. So I have avoided a couple of shows that I used to like to watch. I just can't watch them now. So I don't know if that's happening to you, but you're not alone. And we all need things that can nourish us. So whatever it is, and whether it's making connections with other people and just being kind, and my favorite thing, which is to hold the door open and to make sure that I say please and thank you and that sort of thing. It does, it's little, but it does a lot. So without further ado, I think it's really, really important to um, bring some relaxation to ourselves. And first, if your nervous system is doing what my nervous system has been doing all day, which is kind of tense and a lot of variability, but let's bring some on purpose, some relaxation to ourselves. So those of you who've done this with me before, we're gonna just do a little vagus nerve massage. So just putting your hands, your own hands on your scalp and kind of very gently, almost like you're giving yourself a shampoo, just rub your head and all those tendons and muscles that support the back of your neck, connecting it to your shoulders. Just give it all a little rub, letting it feel the warmth of your hands, and eyes can be opened or closed. My eyes always just close, and then, bringing your warm hands to the side of your face, and just feeling that, and maybe flattening your brow so that you can let it be soft. Taking your hands and massaging your face and your powerful jaw muscles. Just bringing maybe a little bit of warmth and pressure behind your ears and neck, side of your neck. This is where the vagus nerve is quite close to the surface, so it can feel really good to kind of massage a little bit. And then I like to cross my hands and almost give myself a little hug, but also to sort of dig deep into those thick muscles that connect shoulder to neck. And I think they're called the trapezius or the trapezoid muscles. I'm never really sure. And just give a little rub there. And then bring your hands to your heart and feel the warmth of your hands there. Just taking in a nice nourishing breath in through your nose and out through your mouth, releasing and letting go. And then whatever your body feels like it needs to do in this moment, and I don't know about you, but mine feels quite a bit more relaxed. I appreciate that. My arms just want to flop. So go ahead and let yourself be relaxed. And in this moment, you might want to scan through your body. Maybe you start with your toes, just noticing what you're able to notice in this moment of stillness. There's nowhere else you have to be right now, just right here, right now, being aware of your toes. Can you sense anything about your toes? Can you sense warmth or tingling, or perhaps your footwear, or if your feet happen to be resting on the floor, or some other sensation that you're aware of in this moment as you let your awareness drift now to the rest of your feet, the bottoms of your feet, your arches, and the top of your feet. Just tuning in to your feet, recognizing sensations there, and then now into your ankles and into your shins and your calf muscles, noticing if there's any tension or tightness there. And if there is, what's so helpful is to breathe in Imagine gathering any tension or tightness, and then as you exhale, you're releasing it, you're letting it go, releasing, letting everything be soft and relaxed in this moment. As you bring your awareness now to your knees and the backs of your knees, noticing any sensations there. And now to your upper legs, the backs of your legs, the tops of your legs, your thighs. What can you notice? Can you sense the places of contact if you're sitting? Points of pressure? Is it warm? Is it cool? Is it tingly? Can you sense into the heaviness of your legs? As you sink maybe a little bit deeper into the surface that you're sitting on or you're resting on. Just feeling into that, noticing if there is any tension or tightness and breathing in, gathering it up, and then as you exhale, letting it go. Letting it go, letting it be released from your body on your powerful breath. As you bring awareness now to your sit bones, you might feel and sense more pressure there. As you sit, sink in a little bit further, sensing your buttocks and your hip bones, and really sensing into the heaviness and the structure and the support, and how it holds you upright, and how it anchors you to this moment of awareness. Breathing in and out, letting yourself be pulled that just that much deeper towards the earth with that mysterious but wonderful energy of gravity, allowing yourself to sink a little bit deeper and a little bit deeper, almost feeling cradled by gravity in this moment. And if there is any tension or tightness or just some other sensation that you'd like to release, and just on your breath, just gather it up, breathing in deeply, filling your chest and lungs. And as you exhale, release, release, release. Anything that's not serving you, release it on the exhale. As you bring awareness now to your lower abdomen and your low back, again, noticing whatever sensations are there to be noticed, points of contact or warmth or clothing or something soft or something firm. Maybe there's an ache, or maybe there's digestion or something else that you're able to sense that's happening in this part of your body, the lower part of your trunk, your low abdomen and your low back. As you bring your awareness up into your belly and into your mid-back, sensing whatever you can sense and notice there. With your gentle, kind awareness, letting be, noticing with kindness, gentleness. We can hold a lot of tension in our bellies, and sometimes we aren't really very aware. Maybe you're not. Maybe it feels comfortable and ease, but maybe there is something different. I invite you to kind of almost imagine just sticking your belly out and breathing in very deeply. You're engaging your diaphragm muscle now. Breathe in. Stick that belly out. And then on the exhale, release and let go. Letting your belly be soft soft. And if you need to do that again, go ahead. Breathe in, filling your chest and bringing it down to your belly, making it stick out, really pulling in that oxygen, and then exhale, letting go, letting go. That made me a little dizzy. If it did you too, that means you're getting a really good oxygen exchange, but don't worry if you're not. Just notice again sensations in your belly and in your mid back. Breathing in and releasing what isn't serving you any longer. As you bring awareness now to your chest, your sternum, your shoulder blades in your back, your collarbone in your front, and all of your ribs that are connecting and moving with each breath in and out. And just for a moment or two, follow that breathing rhythm, knowing that there's really nothing you're supposed to do right now. Just follow the breath for perhaps a minute or two of clock time. Breathing, releasing, relaxing, and letting go. If it serves you, maybe taking in just another deeper breath in through your nose and out through your mouth, letting go, letting go. Bringing your awareness now to your shoulders and your neck, and just maybe giving yourself a little head rotation or wobble, flopping your head forward, bending, turning to the left and turning to the right. Again, just trying to work out any tension or tightness, sensing very deeply from the inside out those large muscles in your upper arms, inviting them to relax and to let go. And if it's comforting to feel heavy, warm, or cool, if cool is more soothing for you, just letting those large muscles relax from the inside out, letting your arms feel very, very heavy, almost pulled away from your neck, really sensing into that feeling of relaxation and stillness. Letting all of that travel down the length of your arms to your elbows, into your lower arms, into your wrists, into your hands, each of your hands, all of your fingers. Noticing tingling and aliveness of your fingers and thumbs. Letting that feeling spread to almost surround your whole hand, each hand, because hands are so hardworking and sometimes underappreciated. Just being thankful for all the hard work that your hands do in a day. And in this moment, inviting them to truly relax and let go, and perhaps flopping them over if that posture feels more relieving, or finding something that does feel soothing to your hands, resting on your lap or on the armrest of a chair, whatever it is, however it is, just letting your hands rest in this moment of your awareness and of your gratitude to them. And breathing in and out. If there's any tension or tightness, just letting it go. Taking in a bit of a deeper breath and letting go, releasing. Maybe flexing your fingers a little bit, releasing and letting go. Releasing and letting go. Bringing awareness now to your throat and your neck. Throats are very hardworking. They breathe, they talk, they sing, they make other noises. They work hard all day, swallowing, breathing, coughing, letting your throat rest in this moment of your gentle awareness. Perhaps you can sense the coolness of the breath as it travels down the length of your trachea into your lungs. In and then the warmth of the exhale out. Letting that rhythm soothe you. And if there is any tension or tightness in your neck or your throat, breathing in, gathering it up, and as you exhale, releasing and letting it go on the exhale. As you bring your awareness now to your head, your whole head, the back of your head, your face, the top of your head, sides of your head, and even your brain, which never, never, never stops working, actively problem solving, actively keeping us alive, even without our awareness. So hard working. Burns a lot of our energy, all that thinking and that doing and that keeping us functioning, so hardworking. I don't know why, but for right now, I just want to put my hands on my head and just kind of hold it. Maybe let it know I'm here. I'm here. And as hard as it is, just letting our minds kind of drift and float, not thinking about anything in particular, maybe thinking of something soft, a soft down of a young duckling or dandelion or something else that represents softness for you. The feel of a baby's skin or velvet or something else that can feel very, very soft, soft, soft. And isn't it amazing that just having the thoughts of something soft can help our brains to feel soft, something different. Soft, letting go. Even our hard-working brains, with gentle awareness, letting them know that we appreciate everything that our brains do for us. Just to say us, because how do we separate ourselves from our brains? We can't. It's us. But then mind is truly different from the structure of the brain. Mind is a concept. We can get into this and get really deep with this, but we won't because that might hurt our head. For now, just a message of gratitude and appreciation. Breathing in very, very deeply. Feeling the coolness at our nostrils. And letting that stimulate and our breath, with our breath, our brains as we exhale. And so this next one might be kind of challenging, but I'd like to invite you to imagine that your toes can breathe. And you're going to breathe in from your toes. So as you do this, you'll actually be breathing in through your lungs and your nose, etc. But just imagine this for a moment. It can kind of be soothing. Breathe in, letting the breath travel all the way from your toes up the length of your legs and into your body, all the way to the top of your head. And then exhale, exhaling out of your mouth. And let's try that again. Breathing in. Nice long breath in, out your mouth. And how good that can feel. I'm going to go one step further. We're going to imagine that we have, as whales do, we have these blowholes out of the top of our head. So just give the top of your head a little rub so that you can imagine where this blowhole might be. Just feel it. And then go ahead and breathe in through your toes. Letting that breath travel all the way up to your head, and then imagine exhaling it out of your blowhole. And let's do that again, breathing in through our toes. Breath traveling all the way up to the tops of our head, out through the blowhole. And now I'm going to invite you to breathe in through that blowhole. So imagine breathing in through the top of your head. And this time you're going to let it travel from the top of your head all the way down the length of your body, and you're going to exhale it out your toes. So just go ahead right now and imagine breathing in through that blowhole, that imaginary blowhole at the top of your head. Letting the breath travel the length of your body all the way down to your toes, where you will breathe out that breath out through your toes. And now let's breathe in through our toes and out through the blowhole at the top of our head. And in through the blowhole. And let that breath travel all the way down and out through our toes. And now just rest. Noticing whatever sensations are there to be noticed in your body right now. Whatever it is, letting it be there. All the wisdom of this practice. One more breath in. Breathe any way you like, any depth, deep, shallow, whatever is going to serve you in this moment. Just like that. Let's have a moment of silence as you let all this kind of be absorbed and integrated into your awareness of what you're feeling in this moment, what you're noticing in this moment of awareness. And there's nothing in particular, is there? Just this. A moment of quiet. Nicely done. Because we've been sitting for quite a while, you might want to adjust your posture. And we have about 15 minutes left in our practice tonight, and I have some tips for dealing with uncertainty that we might be able to turn into a bit of a meditation. And it goes like this. focus on controlling those things that are under your control. And one thing with meditation that's almost always under our control is how we're breathing, and the fact that we have awareness of the breath, and we can choose to breathe in deeply. We can choose to breathe in through our nose or in through our mouth. We can do all kinds of interesting practices with the breath. So that's one thing, but hopefully there are a few other things that are within your control in your world and in your life. You can sometimes challenge your need for certainty, which means, okay, I wish I could know what tomorrow is going to be like. I wish I knew what I could, and we can't. So what's that about? Why do I need to know? Do I worry? Do I not trust myself that I'll be able to cope? Or, you know, what's that about? And so maybe even bringing some focus to that. Learning to tolerate and even embrace inevitable uncertainty, the things that we don't have any control over, learning to reduce our anxiety and stress levels by doing some of the things that feel good and distract us from that. Those are real tips. Learning to accept uncertainty. And accepting uncertainty doesn't mean that you don't have to have a plan. It just means that, you can trust yourself. I like to ask the question, when was the last time that you didn't cope with something, right? And so sometimes, surviving tough things, surviving uncertainty is about building resilience and reminding ourselves of other things that we've been able to accomplish despite adversity, or things that we've survived, things that we know to be true about ourselves. So I'm going to invite you, and this isn't something that people do a lot of, but just right now, as a little practice, just bringing to mind something that you've done either today or, yesterday or the day before, but something that you can honestly say you feel good about, that you think, I did that well. And I want you just to sort of give it some of your attention and sit with that for just a moment. I mean, I'd like to give you some time because maybe it's a little bit tricky to find something that you feel like you handled well. We can always think of things that we didn't handle very well, but that's not what I'm asking right now in this moment. Bring to mind something that felt good, something that you participated in, something that you made happen, something that you noticed, something that felt good that you brought to yourself by simply being aware of it or doing it. Just giving some thought to that right now and sending a message to yourself. I can do this. And there are many things in my lifetime that I have done, and I can do this. As much as I might not want to do some things, I will do what needs doing. And this doesn't mean that we don't take time to feel everything. So it's part of it all. The resiliency is really, really practicing feeling all these difficult things and accepting and touching things that are sometimes hard to touch and painful. And how do we get through that? That's when connection really helps. When we reach out to others to ease our stress, boost our mood, or just not to feel alone, that can really, really help. Being aware of who those people are. Sometimes they're not who we wish they were, but it's important to accept who they are and who does that for us. And prioritizing that can always be too busy to do, things. Oh, I don't have time for that, or I don't have time. But the truth is, if we don't give ourselves time to connect with others and take care of that, then, it can get really, really lonely. And that can create more anxiety too. This feeling of needing to connect. And that's kind of what we do here on Tuesday nights, don't we? We connect with others. That's a sense of community too. But maybe you can think of other places where you get that connection. It is sometimes an inclination to kind of withdraw when we're suffering, withdraw from people and I get that. And sometimes we need to do that to recharge our batteries. But sometimes there's a need to connect. And so just paying attention to that. So invest in self-care. So, so important. That's what part of this is about. And another one is to look for meaning and purpose in life and in nature, and to express gratitude for that. Being kind to yourself. Sometimes we're not, but self-compassion is such an important part of getting through anything difficult, and a lot of self-talk. Like, oh, okay, this is going to be hard. What do I need to do first? What do I need to do next? That kind of self-talk, and not getting angry with yourself if at first it doesn't work out. Being very, very gentle and kind to yourself in these moments. Yeah. So, some thoughts for getting through difficult times. And, um, as I feel the need to do so very often, and I like to end our meditation practices with loving kindness. And I especially want to create some space for you to create something very personal for yourself, an offering, a loving, kind intention. And so, the typical things that we often offer, we repeat them 3 times, and always, always, always included in that is, may all beings everywhere, myself included, or may I and all beings everywhere, whichever you're more comfortable. And sometimes I change it up. Sometimes I say things like, may I and all beings everywhere experience and trust that there will be peace. May myself and all beings everywhere experience peace and trust that there will be peace. Look for the peace. So again, may all beings everywhere, including myself, feel peace and know peace, and pray for peace. And breathing in and out with this loving, kind intention. Really taking it in. Peace, peace, peace. Visualizing a peaceful scene, sensing in your body a peaceful feeling. Breathing in very deeply. Exhaling peace. That's your loving, kind intention. Peace, peace, peace. And on the breath of your exhale, knowing that that loving, kind intention will travel outside of the room that you're sitting in, outside of your home, into your community, into the world. Repeat, peace, peace, peace. And the next loving, kind intention that I'd like to offer you goes like this. May all beings everywhere, including myself, be free from suffering. And that can mean so many things. Whatever suffering means to you, it might mean something different to somebody else, but loving, kind intention. May all beings everywhere, including myself, be free from pain and suffering. What do we mean by that? Because sometimes we bring pain and suffering to ourselves by our refusal to accept, by our refusal to be with what's difficult. We create more suffering by pushing away, by isolating ourselves, by wanting to do crazy things. So may all beings everywhere, including myself, be free from pain and suffering. Breathing in very deeply as you let go of maybe some big feelings that come with the thoughts about pain and suffering. Letting go and wishing for peace and goodness and freedom. And as you exhale, knowing that the powerful, loving, kind intention travels outside of your mind and your heart and outside of your home and into your community to be received. Breathing that in. Like from last week's practice of Tonglen, breathing in pain and suffering, letting it be transformed in our hearts to love and care and kindness. Breathing out love and care and kindness of our meditation. And just now, before we wrap up, taking some time to think and feel and bring a loving, kind intention to yourself and to the world. Thinking about it, feeling it in your body, seeing it if it's an image, feeling it if it's a sensation, believing in it, praying for it, hoping for it, whatever it might be. Just letting it become very, very big in your body, in your mind. And when you're ready, repeating it 3 times. And as you exhale, letting the beauty of your loving, kind intention melt that sense of otherness in the world. We are all connected. We are all one. Just let that sense of otherness melt. And if it fits for you, letting there be a sense of forgiveness. We can ask for forgiveness of others as we ask for forgiveness of ourselves too. We're in this together, all of us. And we'll let that sentiment end our practice for tonight. It was really nice to be with you, and I really hope that next week we don't experience any other technical difficulties. So sorry. I'm going to do my best to sort of find out what's going on. I really think it's something going on with my computer or our server, but I'm going to try and get to the bottom of it. So wish me well, wish me luck. And again, I'm looking at all of your names, and namaste, everyone. Good night and take care.